everyone, welcome to my channel and thank you for taking the time to watch this video. So this is another episode in my deck review series that I have been doing, and I hope you've been watching all the previous deck reviews and have been enjoying them. So today I thought I'd bring you a deck that is not quite a tarot deck. Well, it is not a tarot deck and it is not an oracle deck. It is actually a deck for self-development and self-growth, and it is the Dream deck. And I'm doing this deck today because a lot of people have written to me and asked me about dream interpretation, and I am no expert at it, and I thought that this would be a very, very helpful deck for you to get so that you can quickly access information. And it's the deck that lays out all the information very, very easily, very nicely, and it's it's very colorful as well, so it's not going to be a bore to read. So you're not plowing through a whole lot of books. You just need to pick out a card from the deck to get that interpretation of whatever symbol it is you are dreaming of. So it is a 50 card deck that has been published by Chronicle Books, and it was published in 2002. And it is a deck that has been done by Dr. David Fontana, who is actually a professor of psychology, and he's also written quite a bit of books on meditation. So he has a good understanding about dreams and interpretations thereof. The deck itself comes in this lovely little box, and it's very, very sturdy. You can see it's got 50 cards written on the front of it, and a person sleeping in bed there. And it tells you a little bit about the book, the deck in the back of the box. It's got a flip top, so that comes out, and the cards are nice and securely stored in that box. So a really, really good box to have with the deck. Now the deck itself is 50 cards on the dream interpretation, but he's also put in 4 extra cards, and that is a really nice introduction. So it doesn't come with a book, but all the information is on the cards. So you've got 4 cards of introduction telling you about dreams, and also about the stages of sleep and how to understand your dreams and why you actually need to dream. And these cards are all colorful, so they're all color coordinated, so that makes it very, very, it doesn't make it really boring to read. It gives it a flavor sort of when you're reading through these colors. Now he's taken the deck itself. I'll just talk about the card itself. The cards themselves are really, really well done. They're quite big, they're quite large. The size of them is about 13 by 8.5 centimeters, so rather big decks. It's not for shuffling, because this is not a deck that you shuffle and pick a card out of. You actually know what symbol you were dreaming of, and you will pick the symbol from the deck itself. So there's no need for you to actually shuffle it. So the size of it is really good enough. You won't be manipulating the deck too much, so it's not going to fall all over the place. The cards themselves are really nicely done. They're very thick, and they've got a matte finish to them, and a nice little picture on the front with a title on the top over here. And this is an overall category. The world outside is the category, and then it's got the interpretation in the back, and the symbol that you will be dreaming of, or that you have dreamt of, and the interpretation of that symbol on following the title. So a category, and then the symbol, and what the interpretation of that symbol is. So very, very nicely sorted out. So the categories that are within the deck itself are all color coordinated. So you've got the world outside as one category, and it's all got the same picture on the front of it, which is a tree, and it's all done in a lovely bluish kind of color there, and the back of the cards are blue as well. And in this category, the world outside, you've got the sun, fire, seasons, trees, and gardens. And when you go through the literature, or the writing on the card, it tells you exactly what the symbology of each thing is, and what the problems are, and what it means, and what it suggests as well in your life. So it gives you a really nice interpretation of each and every single symbol that you will see as far as the world outside goes. So that's the first category. And the second category is the world within, and these are nicely done in sort of a brown. There's a picture of what looks like almost a cathedral on the back over there, lots of lights, and you've got the world within in a nice little light green, and it's got this lovely greenish kind of color of it. So the world within are the places of worship, schools and colleges, banks and libraries, circus and carnivals, stairs and cellars, and I think that's the last one. So it tells you about all these places. So if you're dreaming of a public place and this is falling within that category, you need to come to that and look under that title. So under that category, the world within gives you a different places, public places, that if you dream of, this is what it would actually mean in your dream. That's the interpretation of it. The third category is transport and travel, and it's a nice orange, and you've got what looks like a very fast train on the front there, and it's done in a kind of an orange. So if you're dreaming about roads, airplanes, gliders and balloons, ships, traffic lights and cars. So you go to that, you'd pick out the card, and if you were dreaming of cars, and find out exactly what that means in your life, what the interpretation of the psychological interpretation of it would mean. And you can, it gives you a really good in-depth description of each category or each aspect of that car in this car card. And so it tells you exactly what this would mean in your life, what the psychological implications of it are. So that is your transport and travel. And the next one is significant situations. And you've got these children playing there on this little bridge. And you've got them, it's done in a kind of a lilac, so weddings and divorce. You've got pursuit. So if you feel like you're being chased, this is the card to pick and read. You've got exams, interviews, and auditions. What does that mean in your life? Nakedness. And everybody asks about that question. So it gives you a nice little interpretation there. And the final card is being caught or feeling trapped. So this is the last card in that. So that is the category of significant situations. Sometimes you dream about these things and it upsets people because they don't really understand what it really means. So getting a deck like this is just really good. You don't have to learn the cards. As you dream the symbols, you will just come and pick up the card and get an interpretation of it. And the fourth category is significant objects, and you've got all these shells on the front of it. So very, very beautiful cards. And it's money or treasure, machines, you've got books, so it is a little bit fiddly to work with, but keys, if you're dreaming of keys. And the final one is sexual symbols as well. So the fifth category would be personalities. Got a shadow person there, and a pink sort of background. So priestess or old wise man, that's what you're dreaming of. Crowds or mobs. Authorities or military figures. Shadow or pursuer. And finally, mother and father. So what that actually means. And then the seventh category would be numbers. So, or whatever numbers mean to you within your dreams. So you've got 12 and 13 together there. 10 and 100. 0, 1 and 2. Odd and even numbers. And finally, dates, what they actually mean. Then you've got colors, and it's a nice little green card. So orange, yellow, and red. green and brown, blue and violet, and gold and silver, and finally black and white. So what these colors mean, I'm just showing you, you know, all the categories on the cards themselves. So you've got body and soul, and this is a nice little blue color. So you've got mouth and teeth, limbs, if you're dreaming about that particular part of your body, blood, death, and spiritual imagery. And then the final category would be activity. Nice little spider web there. Walking, climbing, flying, falling, and finally eating. Now this deck would serve you really well if you start keeping a dream diary and writing down significant events within your dreams. And then what you do is you take those significant events and use these cards as reference, find the category or whatever the symbol is that you have been dreaming of, and then find the interpretation for it. And I suggest you write down that interpretation in your dream diary as well, so when you go back later you understand. You know, dreams are very prophetic as well, so while you're dreaming about this, maybe in a week's time, if you dreamt of a spider, then you know exactly what it meant, and maybe it will have some kind of significance. Dreams you know, have always been used to foretell the future, so these could be significant in that sort of way. So you know, we are all psychic at some level or the other, and the universe is always downloading information to us. So keeping a dream diary is absolutely essential if you want to grow spiritually, and also if you want to you know, develop that psychic talent of yours. You know, some people can be psychic while they're wide awake, but some people's psychic abilities come through, or their intuition comes through in the dreams, and most of the time we forget our dreams within 5 minutes of dreaming. But keeping a dream journal and then interpreting the symbols and then seeing how they play out in the future is rather important. So I think, you know, just keeping a dream journal, accessing all the symbols, which are very, very easy to find. You can see these categories are quite easy, and it's very, very a quick reference as well, and it gives you a really good interpretation of all these symbols as well. If you keep a diary and you get interpretation of it, and then you look at it maybe a week later and see how it's played out, you might be getting a lot of psychic messages that you never really even knew you were getting, because you know, most of the time you do forget your dreams 5 minutes after you wake up. But keeping that dream journal and then interpreting it might give you a better insight as to what is coming. So I think this deck is a must for anybody who wants to develop psychically and spiritually, and also you know, if you want to know the future really, I think this is a really good deck to get you started. So I highly recommend this deck, and it's not very expensive at all. It was quite cheap. That's you know, and it gave so much of information. It gives so much of information on the deck. The cards are done really beautifully. You know, you can they're packaged really nicely. You can access it very quickly. So highly recommend this deck, especially if you you know, want to understand your dreams. And it's not a fly-by-night deck by no means. You know, you'll be dreaming for the rest of your life, so you will be using this deck for as long as you're alive, if you're a person who likes to interpret dreams or wants to understand things. You know, we never stop dreaming. So this is not a deck that you're going to be wasting your money buying. This is definitely a deck that you will use, you know, and you will get your worth out of this deck. And you can even interpret other people's dreams by using this deck. So a very, very important deck to get, and something that I highly recommend. It's got a good science grounding in it, but it's also got a good spiritual grounding in it. And, you know, something that you will use for quite a while, and it's going to last for quite a while, because the card stock is really, really good, and it's not a dull book. It is really quite exciting to have all these different colors and these different color coordinations going on there. So I hope that you have enjoyed this deck review, and I'll put in links to Amazon and eBay in the description box so you can buy it if you would like. And please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave me some comments if you have enjoyed this video. And thank you so much for watching my previous videos. I just love hearing from you, and I love that interaction. So all the best and take care. Thank you very much. Goodbye.